The shimmering curtain. Close your eyes now and imagine a quiet laboratory tucked away in a peaceful valley. Here, the stars feel closer, and silence hums with mystery. Inside, our sleepy scientist, Dr. Orion Wells, adjusts his wire-rimmed glasses and flips through a dusty old notebook. The question that echoes softly through his mind is one that has puzzled dreamers and scientists alike for centuries. What is reality? Tonight, the journey begins. Reality, so solid, so dependable. Yet the deeper we look, the more it unravels into something elusive, shimmering, and strange. You are about to follow Orion through realms of illusion and perception. With every breath, you'll slip deeper into the folds of the cosmos and the curious edges of consciousness. Dr. Wells steps into a softly lit room filled with antique mirrors. Some distort. Some reflect perfectly. One seems to show not his face, but a field of stars. He smiles. It's time to begin the experiment. To understand reality, he says, we must first understand how we see. As you breathe slowly, deeply, gently, allow yourself to float alongside him into a world where shadows hold secrets and the air tingles with the energy of unasked questions. Is color real? Is time what we think it is? What if everything you've ever touched is nothing more than a dance of vibrating energy? Outside, the wind whispers through the trees like a voice from beyond the veil. Dr. Wells opens an old trunk and removes a strange, softly glowing sphere. The first step, he murmurs, is to let go of certainty. You're not just falling asleep tonight. You're crossing the threshold into a waking dream, a long and gentle journey where science meets soul. Let the lab dissolve. Let the questions cradle you. And as your breath slows, you feel something shift, like the world is softly turning inside out. Welcome to the first step of the illusion. The color of the mind. Tonight, we return to Dr. Orion Wells, who sits calmly beneath the glow of a soft amber lamp. The rain taps gently against the window panes, as if nature herself is leaning in to listen. On his desk lies a color wheel, faded, well-worn, and beside it, a prism catching the lamplight, scattering rainbows across the walls. Let's begin with color, he whispers. It's something we all believe we understand. But what if I told you, colors aren't real? You lie back and imagine the colors around you. The soft blue of the sky. The green of leaves in sunlight. The brilliant orange of a setting sun. But now, you begin to see what Orion sees, not the world as it is, but the world as your brain interprets it. Color, he continues, isn't something that exists outside of us. It is born inside the mind. He carefully places a prism in front of a beam of white light. With a subtle shift, the light fans out into a spectrum, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. But these are just wavelengths, tiny oscillations of electromagnetic energy. The brain receives them and paints them into experiences. And what's more, the red you see, may not be the red I see. This thought flows through you like a river of stars. You begin to understand that reality is less like a photograph and more like a painting, fluid, shaped by interpretation, framed by perception. The room around Orion blurs gently, like a watercolor left out in the rain. The colors seem to soften, fade, and shift. It's peaceful. It's dreamlike. He walks to the window and opens it just slightly. The cool night air drifts in, carrying the scent of lavender and old books. Outside, the world continues, quiet, unaware of how strange it truly is. Perception, he says, is a translation. A guess. The brain is a storyteller, and color is one of its most elegant lies. As your body sinks deeper into stillness, you imagine a world without color. Not empty, but different. A place where trees feel green but look like nothing at all. A world painted by touch, sound, and imagination. And then, a gentle thought. If color isn't real, what else might be an illusion? Let that question rest in the space behind your eyes. Let it hum quietly like a lullaby of wonder. Outside, the rain eases. The night deepens. And you drift onward, into dreams wrapped in prisms and gentle paradoxes. The illusion continues. The sound that wasn't there. Tonight, as you settle under your covers and the world grows quiet, we return once more to the calm study of Dr. Orion Wells. A log fire crackles softly in the hearth, its gentle pops and hisses like whispered secrets from an ancient world. Orion sits with his journal open, a steaming cup of herbal tea beside him. The room glows in tones of amber and shadow, and he speaks in a voice like the low hush of a breeze through pine. Let's talk about sound, he begins. What is it really? You let his question float through your sleepy mind. Orion picks up a small tuning fork from the table and strikes it lightly. The air trembles. A tone hums into the room, gentle, clear. You imagine that vibration moving outward, like ripples on a pond. Sound, he says, is motion, waves of air pushing and pulling in rhythm. And yet, there is no sound without an ear to hear it. You blink slowly, the idea sinking in. Without ears, the world would be full of vibration, but silent. No ear, no sound, Orion continues. Just invisible waves passing through space. He pauses, letting the idea stretch. Outside, an owl hoots in the darkness. A soft wind shivers through the trees. You begin to sense it, the mystery of sound. That what you hear is not just what is, but what your brain believes is happening. Your mind translates vibrations into music, into whispers, into birdsong. And even silence, he says softly, is a kind of sound, painted by absence. He tells you of people who hear phantom tones in total quiet. Of the brain, restless in silence, inventing gentle hums or echoes to keep itself company. You imagine floating in deep space, where no air exists to carry sound. Where even the most violent supernova would unfold in utter silence. It's a humbling, beautiful thought. Perception, Orion murmurs, shapes the world more than we know. As his words fade, the crackling of the fire seems louder, or maybe you just notice it more. The wind outside sounds like a lullaby. Your own breathing becomes a soothing rhythm, the pulse of your presence in the universe. You close your eyes. And in the quiet that follows, the silence feels alive, full of meaning, of presence, of peace. Another illusion of reality, gently pulling you deeper into sleep. The edges of sight. Dr. Orion Wells stood at the window of his candlelit study, gazing out at the forest beyond. The moon floated like a pale lantern behind a veil of clouds, and the trees shimmered silver in its glow. Tonight, he was thinking about what we see, and what we think we see. Light, he said aloud to no one in particular, is the universe's quiet painter. You lie still, wrapped in blankets, letting his voice carry you. His tone is calm, slow, almost reverent, like someone describing a secret too vast for hurried words. He picks up a prism from his shelf, a small triangle of glass, and places it before a lamp. The white light splits into a gentle arc of colors, cascading onto the wall, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. All of this, he murmurs, was hidden inside the light the whole time. He turns to you, or perhaps to himself, and continues, what we see with our eyes is only a sliver of what's truly there. Visible light makes up less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. That means the universe is painted with invisible colors, and our eyes, marvelous as they are, catch only a glimpse. You imagine a vast field of light stretching beyond violet into ultraviolet, and beyond red into infrared. Hidden worlds of color and heat and energy that swirl around you always, unseen. What if, Orion muses, what we call reality is just the small corner of existence our senses allow us to witness? The candlelight flickers. Your eyelids feel heavier. He tells you about bees that see ultraviolet patterns on flowers, and snakes that sense heat in the dark. Their realities are different, shaped by their senses. A different truth, a different world. Your eyes, Orion whispers, do not show you the world. They show you what your brain believes the world should look like. He sets the prism down gently and steps outside into the moonlight. You follow in your mind, stepping into the hush of the forest, the chill of the night air brushing your skin like soft velvet. Above, the stars shimmer, so many and so distant they seem like holes poked in the dark fabric of space. Sight, he says, is not passive. It's a quiet act of creation. As he gazes at the stars, you feel the weight of your eyelids grow. The mystery of light, and the illusion of vision, settle over you like a second blanket. And as the quiet wraps around you, the shadows fade. The world melts into softness. You drift, like a beam of moonlight dissolving into sleep. The sound behind silence. In the quiet heart of the observatory, Dr. Orion Wells closed his journal and listened, not for words, not for thoughts, but for the silence between them. There was something sacred in it. Not emptiness, but presence. Silence, he said gently, is not the absence of sound. It's the space that gives sound its meaning. Outside, the wind moved through the pines like a breath too soft to wake the world. You lie back beneath your covers, your mind floating gently with each word. He began pacing slowly, his voice as calm as dusk, speaking not to teach, but to wonder. You see, sound begins not in our ears but in the vibrations of the world, waves of air moving, trembling, resonating. And yet we filter so much out. We live our lives never hearing the whir of atoms, or the hum of our own nervous system. But that doesn't mean they're not there. He paused beside a large tuning fork on his desk. With a light tap, he sent it humming. The low tone vibrated through the floor and into your bones, not loud, not sharp, but deep, like a secret you could feel. Our ears can only detect a narrow band of sound, just as our eyes catch only a sliver of light. Dogs hear higher tones. Whales hear deeper ones. And yet, we all believe what we hear is real. He sat beside the great telescope and looked up through the dome. Did you know, he said, that space is not truly silent? It only seems that way because sound needs something to travel through: air, water, matter. But stars pulse. Galaxies groan. Planets ring like bells if you could just hear at the right frequency. You imagine drifting in a vast cosmic sea, where planets chime and comets whisper. The silence of the universe, it turns out, is filled with music your ears were never built to hear. The absence of sound, he said, is not a void. It's an invitation. He lights a candle and watches the flame sway with the breeze. Even that movement, air pressing, releasing, was a kind of whisper, too soft for you to name. Perhaps, he smiles, that's why sleep feels like silence. Not because the world is quiet, but because the noise inside us finally softens. As the candle burns low and your breath settles into rhythm, you feel that same soft silence growing in you. Not empty. Full. A gentle hush that holds you in the cradle of the night. And as Orion gazes out at the stars once more, you slip into that other realm, just below waking, just above dreaming, where sound and silence meet. And sleep, as always, arrives without a sound. The mirror that remembers. The night deepened like ink swirling gently in water. Inside the observatory, the warm lamplight made soft pools of gold against the cool, quiet dark. Dr. Orion Wells leaned over an old mahogany cabinet, unlocking it with a tiny brass key. You lie still, nestled in blankets, your breathing steady and slow, as he carefully removed a small object, round, smooth, and perfectly polished. It was an antique mirror. But not an ordinary one. This, he said softly, holding it up to the lamplight, is called a clawed glass. It was once used by artists to reflect the world in a softer, more dreamlike way. But mirrors, all mirrors, do something even more curious. He sat at his desk, placing the glass before you. Mirrors reflect what we see, he began, but they also hold a strange truth: we've never actually seen ourselves. Not truly. Only reflections. Versions reversed, interpreted, filtered through silver and light. The gentle ticking of the old clock filled the silence between his words. We believe what we see, he continued, but what if sight itself is an illusion? What if the world you believe you see is only a mirror, shaped by your mind, your past, your memories? He stood and dimmed the lamp, so the stars above became the only source of light. Their shimmering glow spilled down like ancient secrets, and you imagined yourself floating there, weightless and wide-eyed. Light, Orion whispered, takes time. Even the image of yourself in the mirror is a moment already gone. When you look at a star, you're looking back in time. So when you look at yourself, in some way, you are too. He paused. The illusion, he said gently, is that the world is immediate. But really, everything is a memory, echoes of light, bouncing off surfaces, caught by your eyes and shaped by your mind. You picture that for a moment, how even the moonlight on your blanket took over a second to arrive. How the glow of the stars above might be hundreds, even thousands of years old. The clawed glass sits quietly on the desk, its surface dark, yet gently gleaming. And here's the most wonderful part, he added, with a smile, in this universe of delayed reflections and bending light, it's your mind that weaves it all together into something beautiful. You drift deeper now, feeling the edge of sleep curl around your thoughts like mist. Perhaps the world isn't fixed. Perhaps it's a moving portrait, painted in shifting light, remembered differently by every soul who sees it. Orion gently closed the cabinet, and as he did, your eyes too began to close. The mirror remembers, even when you do not. And as stars continue their slow-burning story in the heavens above, your body sinks, your breath deepens, and the reflection of you, peaceful, weightless, eternal, sleeps in silence. The sound of silence. The clock in the observatory ticked ever more slowly, or so it seemed, as time itself softened into a gentle rhythm. Outside, the wind had quieted. The rustle of trees had fallen still. And within, there was a hush that made every breath feel sacred. Dr. Orion Wells moved through the dim-lit room with quiet purpose. In his hands, he carried something unusual, an old tuning fork, its slender prongs cool and silvery. As you lie comfortably in the soft bed beneath the skylight, he smiles gently and says, "Have you ever wondered what silence truly is?" He sat at the edge of the table and tapped the fork lightly. A faint hum filled the room, high and delicate, like the memory of a note long ago forgotten. "Sound," he said softly, "isn't a thing, it's a process. Vibrations traveling through matter, air, water, stone, even you. But silence is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of stillness." He paused, letting the quiet return. The ear is always listening. Even in silence, it reaches for something, anything. That's why, when it gets truly quiet, you begin to hear your heartbeat. Or the rush of blood. Or the soft creak of your own breath. That's your body reminding you, you are alive in the stillness. You breathe slowly now, aware of the silence all around. Not empty, but full. Full of comfort. Of meaning. Of invisible things. Orion continued, "In space, there is no air, no molecules to carry sound. So space is silent. But is it truly silent? Or is it simply speaking a language we cannot yet hear?" He looked up toward the skylight where the stars glittered silently. Some scientists say even the cosmos has a sound. A hum. A background note that stretches across the universe like a slow and eternal sigh. He reached for an old phonograph, gently winding it. A record turned slowly under the stylus. But instead of music, there was a soft, barely there crackling. Like the sound of dust remembering its dance in the air. The illusion, he whispered, is that silence is nothing. But it's everything. It's the breath between thoughts. The space where ideas grow. The dark soil where dreams are planted. You close your eyes now, letting the softness of this silence wrap around you. Every sound seems miles away. Every thought slows, like a feather drifting to rest. In this world of noise and constant motion, Orion added, may you always find silence, and may it be your sanctuary. The phonograph slowed to a stop. The stars blinked slowly above. And you, drifting now, lighter than air, floated into sleep, guided by the gentlest sound of all. The sound of silence. The mirror of the mind. The sky outside was velvet dark, speckled with stars, as if the universe had spilled a handful of glowing grains across a black silk cloth. Inside the observatory, warm amber light flickered, casting soft shadows along the shelves lined with books, beakers, and delicate glass models of molecules. Dr. Orion Wells stood in front of a peculiar object, an antique mirror. Its frame was wrought iron, curving like the vines of a dreaming forest, and its surface shimmered, not with reflection, but with something deeper. Something unspoken. He turned toward you, a thoughtful look on his face. What if I told you, he began, his voice calm and slow, that the world you see, this room, these stars, even yourself, may be more of a story than a solid thing? You raise an eyebrow, comfortably curious. Orion smiled gently. Perception is not reality. It's interpretation. Your mind receives fragments, light, sound, touch, and pieces them together into a picture it thinks is the world. But in truth, it's only your mind's best guess. He gestures to the mirror. This doesn't show your face. Not as you expect. It shows the way your mind believes you should look. It's not reality, it's perception. You walk slowly toward the mirror. At first, it's foggy. Then, your own image begins to take form. But it's subtle, dreamlike. You see not only your face but a glow behind your eyes, a softness around your shoulders. The way you feel when you're safe. When you're loved. When you're still. This, Orion says, is your mind's mirror. It reflects not what is, but what is felt. Thought. Imagined. You step back, wondering how much of the world is shaped not by facts, but by feelings. When you close your eyes, he continues, the world does not disappear. It changes. It becomes yours. It becomes imagined. In many ways, you live more vividly in the worlds you dream than in the one you wake to. And those dreams, they tell us something vital, that reality may be an illusion, but the illusion is deeply, profoundly meaningful. He walks to a chalkboard and draws a simple spiral. This is what happens when we think. When we feel. We spiral inward, into layers of understanding. Not to find answers, but to experience the question more richly. You settle deeper into the cushions, your body warm and relaxed. The soft ticking of a nearby clock blends with the crackling of the fire. The mirror no longer shows your reflection, only a gentle mist swirling like stars in motion. Dr. Wells lowers his voice, almost a whisper. Let go of needing to know. Rest in the beauty of the unknown. Sometimes, the most real things are those we cannot prove: love, wonder, peace. These are the truths beneath the illusion. As your eyes drift closed, your thoughts begin to dissolve, like ink in still water. The world becomes quieter, softer. A dream of silver spirals and glowing stars begins to wrap around you, delicate and vast. And the mirror, forgotten behind you, continues to shimmer with the gentle illusion of reality. The theater of the mind. The evening air had grown cooler, carrying with it the faint scent of lavender and parchment. You sit once more in the quiet observatory, the flames in the hearth low and glowing like quiet embers of thought. Dr. Orion Wells, your gentle guide, moves with unhurried grace, pouring tea into 2 porcelain cups. This, he says, handing you a cup, is the theater. You blink. The theater? He nods. Not of actors and stages, but of mind. Every waking moment, your brain directs a private play, staging sights, sounds, colors, and meaning. But the trick is, you're not just the audience. You're also the playwright. You sip the warm tea. Its taste is earthy, grounding. The brain, he continues, receives only pieces of the world. A dash of light here, a scent there. And from these fragments, it builds the stage you stand upon. He walks to a small drawer and retrieves an old notebook, its pages filled with diagrams of the brain, frontal lobes, neural pathways, mysterious nodes of consciousness. You know, he says softly, your eyes don't really see. They gather light. It's your brain that interprets what that light means. That tree you see outside? It's not a tree, it's the idea of a tree. A guess. A dream you agree to believe. You look out the window. The great oak tree stands in the moonlight, its branches swaying gently. Is it real? Or only the story your brain tells? Dr. Wells senses your thought. This is not to unsettle, he reassures. It's to remind that you are not just witnessing the world. You are creating it. Thought by thought. Dream by dream. He gestures to the ceiling, where a projection of constellations begins to swirl, Ursa Major, Cassiopeia, Orion's belt. Even these stars, he whispers, are part of a play. They seem close together, but are separated by unimaginable distance. Your mind arranges them into patterns. Stories. Shapes that feel familiar. A fox. A crown. A sleeping giant. The theater of your mind gives everything a role. And when you sleep, Orion adds, the show doesn't stop. It changes scenes. Dreams take over. And those are not random, they're the most intimate stories of all. You begin to feel it now. The pull of the stage curtain. The soft hush of night drawing close. The mind dimming its lights, preparing for a quieter act. Dr. Wells lights a small lantern. It flickers gently beside the constellation map, casting shadows like dancers across the wall. Tonight, he says, as you drift off, remember this, the illusion of reality is not a trick. It is a gift. A way for your mind to connect. To feel. To wonder. The tea is gone. The fire low. Your eyes begin to close on their own. And in that still moment, the world becomes a velvet theater, where dreams play softly, and you, dear listener, are the star of it all. The colors that aren't there. The night stretches quiet and long, and the wind outside hums softly, like a lullaby wrapped in starlight. Inside the observatory, the fire glows low, and your seat beside Dr. Orion Wells feels like the safest place in the world. Books surround you, warm lamplight softens the walls, and your thoughts, like feathers, begin to drift. Dr. Wells smiles as he places a prism on the desk between you. Let's talk about color, he says gently. But not as you know it. You lean forward, watching as he shines a small beam of light through the crystal. It splits into a soft rainbow, red to violet, like paint swirled in the air. These colors, they feel so real, he muses. But they're illusions. Your mind paints them. He reaches for a small notebook and opens to a drawing of two overlapping circles, one labeled wavelength, and the other perception. Light, he explains, is just energy. Some of it falls in the visible range, what your eyes can detect. But color? That's not out there in the world. It's something your brain adds. You stare at the rainbow shimmering across the desk. Was it always like this? Did you always know that red is not just red, but an interpretation? When you look at a ripe strawberry, Dr. Wells continues, there's no red in the fruit itself. The surface absorbs some wavelengths and reflects others. Your eye receives those reflections, and your brain says, ah, that's red. But it isn't. You glance at the prism again, seeing the light as if for the first time. It isn't just beauty, it's translation. Some animals, he adds, see colors you never will. Bees, for instance, can detect ultraviolet patterns on flowers. To them, a daisy is full of hidden signals. But to you, it's just white petals and yellow center. He pauses, letting the idea sink in like soft rain. The world, it seems, is far more than you can ever see. And the most curious part, he says with a smile. You and I might not even see color the same way. My blue might be your green. But we'll never know, because we both learned to call it blue. You look around the room, the navy carpet, the golden lamp, the soft brown chair. Are they truly those colors? Or simply shared assumptions? Dr. Wells senses the wonder stirring within you. The world is painted, he says, not by what is, but by what your brain believes. Perception is not about truth, it's about meaning. Outside, the moon hangs like a pale pearl above the hills. Its light, too, is colorless. And yet tonight, it feels silver. The prism glows with fading rainbow. The tea is warm again. And your thoughts begin to drift toward dreams, where colors behave differently, bending with feeling and memory. Sleep well, Dr. Wells whispers. And in your dreams tonight, remember, even the colors you see are born from within you. The lamp dims. Your eyes grow heavy. And in the gentle illusion of sleep, 1,000 colors bloom behind your closed lids, more vivid, more alive, than any waking sight. The phantom limb and the ghost in the mind. The fireplace crackles gently, its warmth curling through the room like a comforting sigh. You're tucked into your chair once more, with Dr. Orson Welles seated nearby, his gaze distant, his thoughts full of stories that blur the line between science and the soul. Tonight, he says softly, we'll explore something strange, and deeply human. A sensation that proves how powerfully your brain builds the world for you. It's called, the phantom limb. You shift gently, intrigued by the name. He opens an old medical journal and turns it toward you. Drawings of arms, some whole, some missing, and yet the notes speak of pain, of tingling, of touch felt in places that no longer exist. When a person loses a limb, he begins, they often continue to feel it. Sometimes, it itches. Sometimes, it aches. The limb is gone, but the mind refuses to let go. You blink, stunned by the idea. The brain, he explains, has a map. A sensory map of your body. It knows where your hands are, your feet, your fingers and toes. That map doesn't vanish just because a part of the body does. Dr. Wells points to a sketch of the human brain. This part, he says, tapping gently, the somatosensory cortex, it holds a kind of memory. And in that memory, the limb still lives. You imagine it now, someone reaching with an arm that isn't there, a foot that tingles in the absence of flesh. How strange, and how beautiful, that the mind remembers the body even when the body forgets itself. But it goes deeper, he continues. In rare cases, someone can feel another person's touch, as if it were their own. There's a mirror effect in the brain, where we don't just observe, we simulate. We feel. You recall moments of deep empathy, watching someone stub their toe, and flinching as if it happened to you. Or feeling tears rise when a character cries on screen. Perhaps the illusion of reality is not just around you, but within you. The phantom limb, Dr. Wells says gently, is more than a medical mystery. It's a message. A reminder that the mind does not merely reflect reality, it projects it. He leans back, the flames dancing in his eyes. So what does this tell us? That your experience of the world, even your own body, is created moment by your brain. Your feelings, your senses, your place in space, all part of an illusion that helps you live. You take a breath, letting the quiet weight of those words settle in your chest. And in dreams, he adds with a small smile, the brain plays with the map. You might fly without wings. Run without legs. Hold a hand that's no longer there. The mind is a powerful architect, and sleep is its most fluid canvas. As your eyes begin to drift closed, you imagine yourself floating, your limbs light as moonbeams, your mind stretching far beyond your skin. You are not bound by what is. You are free within what seems. Dr. Wells closes the book, the lamp glows dim, and sleep draws near. Rest now, he whispers. You are more than what you appear. And your dreams know it well. The invisible gaze, is someone watching you? You're wrapped in a cozy throw blanket, the hush of nightfall hugging the room. Outside, the moon hangs like a silver coin in the sky. Dr. Orien Wells sits nearby once again, leafing through a folder marked Paranormal Perception. He glances up and smiles. Have you ever felt eyes on you, even when no one was there? You nod, remembering moments, alone in a room, the hairs on your neck rising, a sudden twist in your gut. And yet, no sound, no sight. Just, that feeling. It's called the gaze detection phenomenon, Dr. Wells says softly, and it's far more real than you might think. He holds up a photograph of a human eye, magnified, the iris a galaxy of color. Your brain is wired to recognize faces, and especially eyes. Even a tiny suggestion, a shadow, or two dots in a line, can make your brain whisper, someone's watching. You lean in. But why? You ask. Survival, he replies. Early humans needed to know when a predator or rival was nearby. Our ancestors couldn't afford to be caught off guard. So the brain evolved to be hyper-aware of gazes, even imagined ones. He pours tea into your mug, the scent of chamomile drifting between you. Sometimes, he continues, it's not even the eyes we sense, but intention. Subtle cues. The angle of a head. A held breath. Something shifts, and we just know. You think of walking into a room and feeling a sudden stillness, as though a conversation had stopped mid-sentence. Or the way a crowd can turn just before someone speaks. But here's the illusion, Dr. Wells murmurs. You often feel watched, even when you're not. Your brain fills in gaps. It detects a shape, hears a creak, and writes a story in the dark. He taps a page with old scientific notes. Experiments show we're right only about half the time. Yet the feeling persists. The illusion is so strong that it can even activate stress hormones, raise your heart rate, make you turn to check. You picture your younger self, wide-eyed in a quiet hallway, peeking behind doors just to be sure. You weren't silly. You were human. Dr. Wells leans back. This illusion is not weakness. It's awareness. It means your mind is protecting you, even when you're asleep. Even when you dream. His voice softens, almost like a lullaby. And when you sleep now, in this calm and quiet place, know that no gaze follows you. You are safe. You are unseen. The illusion has lifted. You close your eyes as he speaks, the warmth of the tea seeping into your chest, your breath slow and steady. Dr. Wells dims the lamp. You are not being watched. But you are always, deeply known. And now, known to peace. Sleep folds around you like a soft cloud, and the only thing watching now, is the moon. The dream within the dream, nested realities. Dr. Orien Wells adjusts the old brass telescope in his study, the gears clicking softly. Outside the windows, the stars blink like ancient signals. You settle into the armchair beside him, cradling a cup of warm oat milk tea, its aroma nutty and sweet. He begins in a whisper. Have you ever woken up, only to find you're still dreaming? You nod slowly, memories surfacing, those moments where a dream seems to end, yet reality still ripples with strangeness. A clock that ticks backward. A hallway that loops. Familiar people saying unfamiliar words. Dr. Wells looks out the window. It's called a false awakening, and it reveals something mysterious about the human mind, the ability to simulate reality within reality. He opens a worn notebook and flips to a page titled Nested Realities. Your brain builds models. Not just of the outside world, but also of your thoughts, your sense of self, even your dreams. And sometimes, it builds a model of you waking up. You sip your tea and listen, hypnotized by the slow cadence of his voice. During sleep, your mind rehearses safety. It imagines waking to check your surroundings. But because it's all within the dreamscape, even the waking part isn't real. He smiles. It's like dreaming that you've left the theater, only to discover you're still sitting in your seat, the film quietly playing. He gestures toward the telescope. And it gets stranger. Some scientists believe these dream layers offer a test run for consciousness. The mind simulates waking up to assess whether reality is stable. Like tugging at the edges of a curtain to see if it's hiding something. You think of all the times you've questioned your dreams, tried to pinch yourself, flip a switch, read the time twice, those small tricks to pull yourself free. But even those are part of the illusion. And yet, Dr. Wells says, when you do finally awaken, into this reality, this body, this moment. What assurance do you have that this is the final layer? The room falls quiet. Just the ticking of the antique clock on the wall and the hum of your breath. But don't let that frighten you, he adds gently. This illusion of waking is a comfort, a necessary tether. We nest inside layers of understanding, each one shaped by care, experience, and memory. He walks over and dims the study lamp, leaving only the glow of starlight across the room. So tonight, he whispers, if you drift into dreams within dreams, don't resist. Float gently between the layers. Each one is a lullaby, written by your mind, just for you. The chair cradles your body as sleep overtakes you. Layer by layer, the illusion folds around you, soft and weightless. Until even Dr. Wells fades, and you're dreaming again. The holographic mind, are we projections? A hush fills the observatory as you sit beside Dr. Orion Wells once again. Tonight, there are no instruments ticking or telescopes turning, only a stillness that feels ancient, like the pause between two heartbeats. Dr. Wells offers you a cushion and a wool blanket. Let's take a journey inward, he murmurs, to a place where physics and perception meet. You close your eyes. His voice, calm and even, wraps around you. There's a theory, he says, that everything we see, hear, and touch, is not in the world, but projected from it. Much like a hologram. You let the thought drift through your mind like a cloud. A hologram, he continues, is a three-dimensional image encoded in a flat surface. Its depth is an illusion, made real only through the light that passes through it. He pours you a cup of something warm and spiced. Some physicists propose that the entire universe might work like that. That what we perceive as a vast, three-dimensional cosmos could be encoded on a distant, two-dimensional boundary. You sit with that for a moment. A universe. Like a painting with infinite depth. A reality that unfolds from a cosmic memory card. And what's more, Dr. Wells whispers, your mind might function the same way. He opens a leather-bound book, revealing hand-drawn illustrations of neural networks, light fields, and mirrors. When you look at a tree, or hear music, or taste a plum, your brain constructs the entire experience from patterns of input. Not the thing itself, but a representation. You feel a lightness, as if your thoughts are not tied to your body but floating somewhere just above it. Everything you know, he says, is reconstructed. Not recorded like film, but reimagined like poetry. Your memory of a rose is not the rose. Your memory of tonight will never quite be this moment again. You take a deep breath, letting the idea settle. If the mind is a kind of holographic theater, Dr. Wells says, then consciousness is the light, projecting meaning onto the stage. He smiles gently. You are not just a body in the world. You are the light that gives shape to your world. You lean back against the pillows, gazing up at the ceiling where tiny stars have been painted with glowing ink. Slowly, they seem to rotate, soft constellations turning like a music box above your head. And maybe, he says as your eyelids grow heavy, if all of this is a projection, then so too is your worry, your doubt. Let it dissolve now. Let it flicker out like an old film reel, and sleep in the truth beyond the illusion. You close your eyes, and the stars spin slower and slower until you are still, floating within your own beautiful light. Quantum dreams, reality in superposition. Tonight, the laboratory is aglow with a strange, soothing light, blue, like moonlight filtered through water. Dr. Orion Wells adjusts a small glass prism on the desk, sending rainbows scattering across the room like dancing ghosts. "Shall we talk about dreams?" he asks softly. You settle into the chair by the fireplace, the logs inside crackling gently. A mug of peppermint tea warms your hands. What if reality doesn't collapse until we observe it? Dr. Wells begins, his voice low and steady. What if, like in a dream, the world is many things at once, until we choose to look? He opens a drawer and pulls out a smooth black stone. This, he says, represents a quantum system. In the tiniest spaces, particles don't behave like little marbles, they exist in a haze of possibilities. He places the stone on the desk. Until we measure them. You blink, caught between curiosity and calm. Like Schrödinger's cat, you ask. Exactly, Dr. Wells replies. Alive and dead. True and false. Light and shadow. All at once. Reality in superposition. You gaze at the glowing prism, watching how it bends light into color. When we observe something, he explains, we don't simply see what's there. We shape what becomes real. He opens a notebook filled with delicate sketches of waves, fields, and particles. Your dreams, he says, might be more real than you think. In the quantum world, thoughts and perception are not separate from what is. Your heartbeat slows to match the soft ticking of a clock in the background. Dr. Wells leans back, fingers steepled. Perhaps every night, as you drift into sleep, you're entering a kind of quantum sea, where all possibilities wait. And your mind, quietly, selects a thread from the tangle. The air feels still. Time is suspended. You are a quantum being, he says, wrapped in stardust and curiosity. When you dream, you explore paths not taken, places never built, and lives you've never lived, but might, somewhere. You feel your breath deepen as your body sinks into the cushions. The prism's glow dims. The fire murmurs like a lullaby. Tonight, Dr. Wells whispers, as you surrender to sleep, imagine reality as a dream, gentle, open, forgiving. And know that within it, you are free. The shadows in the room stretch and soften as your eyelids flutter closed. Thought slows. Sound fades. And in the quiet, your soul slips gently into the space between stars, where all things are possible and peace is a certainty. The mirror of the mind. In the peaceful hush of Dr. Orion Wells' laboratory, the night carries with it a curious stillness. Rain taps lightly against the tall arched windows, like soft fingertips brushing secrets into glass. Tonight, a large mirror stands at the center of the room, ornate, its frame carved with swirling patterns of vines, galaxies, and feathers. Dr. Wells gently wipes the surface clean with a silk cloth, then turns to you with a thoughtful look in his eyes. What do you see when you look in a mirror? He asks gently. Your reflection, dim in the lamplight, looks back at you, sleepy and calm. But is that really you? He continues. Or simply a version, a projection? A surface illusion that masks the vastness within? He gestures for you to follow, and you walk slowly toward the mirror. As you step in front of it, the reflection feels more alive than ever, fluid, subtle, changing with every breath. Dr. Wells smiles faintly. In physics, we often assume reality is something out there, tangible, measurable. But what if it's actually shaped from the inside out? He takes a seat near the fire and continues, our senses construct reality from fragments. Vision is filtered through expectation. Sound is painted by memory. Even time, our most constant companion, feels different when we're waiting, or dreaming. You glance again at the mirror. Now, it seems to hold not just your face, but a whisper of your thoughts, like the edges of a dream trying to form. The brain, Dr. Wells says, isn't just a receiver. It's a projector. A magician. A storyteller. Every sight, sound, emotion. They pass through its web of perception before becoming real. A page from his journal flutters open nearby, showing a sketch of a mirrored room, one reflection feeding into another in infinite depth. Even your idea of you is a construct, he says, softly now. An illusion that gives shape to your story. A beautiful, comforting illusion. The fire crackles once. You feel it, a sense of dissolving, but not in a frightening way. Rather, a gentle release of boundaries. A knowing that you are not confined to the story written in the mirror. You are the observer, Dr. Wells whispers. And the creator. The mirror only reflects what you believe you are. The mirror no longer holds a strict reflection. Instead, it seems to shimmer like a pool of still water, and within it, you see not just your form, but your dreams, your quiet thoughts, your childhood laughter, and every loving moment you've ever known. Dr. Wells' voice becomes a distant lullaby now. Tonight, may your dreams reflect only the softest light, the truest peace, the deepest kindness. And as the mirror fades into starlight, your mind slips gently into rest. The illusion of day dissolves, and the dreamer within you takes their place. The symphony of thought. A breeze moves gently through the open window of Dr. Wells' study, lifting the soft linen curtains as if the night itself has something to say. The flicker of candlelight plays across the pages of open books, scattered sketches, and a curious collection of tiny brass instruments resting on the shelf, each no larger than a hummingbird. Dr. Wells sits with a peculiar smile as he adjusts a tuning fork and strikes it gently. A clear, delicate note hums through the room, hanging in the air like a star suspended in silence. Sound, he murmurs, is vibration. A wave through air. But thought is vibration, too. Just deeper. Quieter. It sings in the space between. You lean closer, drawn to the soft resonance. He hands you a second tuning fork, inviting you to strike it. You do, and the two tones intertwine in the air, merging, blending, forming something more than the sum of their parts. Dr. Wells looks at you with warmth. When you think, you are composing. Your brain is an orchestra. Your heart, a conductor. And your emotions? The instruments. The air in the room grows still, reverent. He continues, but not all thoughts are heard. Some hum quietly beneath awareness, shaping how you feel, how you dream, how you love. We call these subconscious melodies. Old songs. Some are peaceful, others discordant. He rises and walks toward a peculiar device, a glass dome filled with tiny filaments that glow when touched. As he brings his hand near, a pulse of soft color ripples across it, blue, then violet, then gold. This, he says, is a visual of thought energy. Gentle, fragile, but always in motion. He invites you to try. As your fingers hover close, the colors change, greens blooming into soft pinks, hues of lavender pulsing gently. It's as though your quietest hopes are made visible in light. Reality, Dr. Wells whispers, responds to thought. It listens. It echoes. And sometimes, it dances. The two of you sit in the calm that follows, surrounded by the gentle hum of tuning forks, the golden glow of thought, and the rhythm of your own breath. Let your thoughts tonight, he says softly, be gentle notes. No pressure to solve, or fix, or change. Just music. Just peace. Let your mind become the symphony it was always meant to be. And as you close your eyes, the hum of thought fades into a lullaby. The night cradles you like a gentle rhythm, and sleep arrives as the most beautiful song of all. Time's gentle trick. In the soft hush of evening, the air is still. The lantern above the doorway glows with a golden warmth, casting shadows on the stone pathway below. Inside the observatory, everything is quiet, except the gentle ticking of an antique clock, its hands moving with patient precision. Dr. Wells sits in his favorite chair, his journal open on his lap. He's not writing, though. He's listening to time. Time, he begins, his voice a whisper, is perhaps the most convincing illusion of them all. You settle in beside him, the sounds of the room embracing you, the steady tick, the occasional creak of wood, the breath of wind against the windows. He smiles as he continues, we believe it flows, like a river. One direction. One speed. But, what if that's only what we feel time to be? He points to a curious device on the table, a ring of sand suspended in air by magnetic fields. As you watch, grains begin to fall, upward. Then sideways. Then back down again. This machine doesn't defy time, he says. This lens, he says, represents belief. When I adjust it, he turns a tiny gear, your reflection changes. Not because you've changed, but because your mind is choosing what to see. In the mirror, your features shift ever so slightly. You look more peaceful. More open. As if the version of you in the mirror knows something your waking mind has forgotten. Reality is not fixed, he whispers. It's a soft illusion, molded by awareness. By emotion. By choice. He gently removes the lens and turns the mirror back toward himself. Each of us sees a different world, because each of us holds a different mirror. You listen to the rain. It sounds like a lullaby now, not the storm it once seemed to be. You close your eyes, and in the darkness behind your lids, you begin to see flashes, not of light, but of insight. A dream of who you are when no one is watching. A sense of peace that lives under the surface, quiet and unshakable. The illusion of reality, Dr. Wells says, isn't meant to deceive you. It's meant to invite you, to explore, to soften, to choose how you see, how you feel, how you live. You lie back, breath deepening. The mirror rests on the table now, catching the firelight. It reflects nothing but warmth. And as you drift into sleep, you realize, the most powerful lens isn't made of glass or obsidian. It's made of love. And tonight, it shows you exactly what you need to see, a gentle world, ready to cradle you into dreams. The lighthouse inside the mind. Night has deepened around the observatory. The wind sighs through the tall pines beyond the windows, and the stars blink softly above like they're whispering ancient stories in a language of light. Dr. Wells is seated beside you again, his hands resting lightly on a small, aged book, the pages filled with drawings of glowing brains, thought patterns like constellations, and diagrams of impossible ideas. He opens to a page titled The Inner Lighthouse. We've talked a lot about perception, he begins softly. But let's explore the part of us that guides those perceptions, the inner light we don't always see but always follow. He draws a circle in the dust on the tabletop and places a candle at its center. Imagine your mind as an island, he says, surrounded by waves of thoughts, feelings, memories, dreams. In the middle of this island is a lighthouse, your awareness. Quiet, watchful, steady. The candle flickers, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Your lighthouse doesn't try to stop the waves, Dr. Wells continues. It simply shines its light, gently, on whatever arises. A fear, a memory, a question. It welcomes them all with the same soft glow. That is mindfulness. That is the secret. He pauses to pour 2 cups of chamomile tea, the steam curling upward like warm breath. You sip slowly, and the flavor feels like a memory from childhood, comforting and simple.